What's up, everybody? So this all ties into the most important prep. Most important prep ultimately being that you understand and accept the gospel and you know where you're going to spend eternity. So that's always the most important prep. But the particular topic in that little group of possible multiple topics within the most important prep is Magog Russia, like most people view, or is Magog Turkey? And as we get closer to the end times in Daniel, it talks about knowledge increasing, and it seems like that's really happening right now. Knowledge is increasing, and we're learning more and more. Like whether it's aliens actually being in the category of fallen angels, demons, Nephilim, somewhere in that category. We're learning more and more all the time. But I am nowadays leaning more toward the view of Magog actually being Turkey, which changes the dynamic of, where's the Antichrist coming from? Is it the Roman Empire, or is it I can't remember what the actual, like the Muslim empire, like Islam ultimately conquered a whole lot more than Rome did. And that leads a lot to the view that the Antichrist is going to wind up actually being Muslim, which makes a whole lot of sense, that that one world religion is going to be Islam. And then if you don't take the mark, you wind up losing your head. It's better to lose your head than lose your soul, right? And now that the codex has come out, I don't know if you guys have seen that. I'm going to try to work it in somehow so that you can see. Western civilization reads left to right. Eastern civilization reads right to left. Well, the Greek symbol for 666 looks identical to the Arab symbol for like Allah is great or something like that. I'm gonna try to plug the actual picture into this video so that you guys can see it, or just make it the thumbnail or something. But like once you see that, it's like, holy cow. John, a lot of us kind of we believe that it wasn't just that Jesus was giving John these visions. He was potentially like taking him into the future to see events in the future. So if he saw that symbol on, say, like Muslim headbands, like the jihadis headbands that tend to have that symbol on there, and he saw that symbol either as a headband or an armband, knowing that sometimes hand gets translated, it really means arm. Like Jesus was pierced in his hands, right? But it was really more than likely his wrist. So sometimes, you got that whole thing going on. So the whole headband, armband thing on the forehead or the right hand, right arm, like that's very plausible. Very, very plausible. And that's that's where I'm leaning nowadays. And whatever you're leaning toward, you need to at least look into this view, pray on it. Whatever your view with the rapture being pre, mid, or post-trib, don't get caught up in the whole, if you're a pre-tribber, you're pissed off at the mid-tribbers and the post-tribbers and that whole circle going all the way around, and the post-tribbers are sitting here, looking at the pre-tribbers, and it's just one more way for the enemy to have divisiveness within the body. So remember, we have different views on where the rapture is gonna wind up happening. So I had a pretty staunch pre-trib view for a long time, and then part of me was always like, yeah, but what if it's not pre? What if it is like mid? You know, and there are elements of when you hear the argument for mid-trib, that it makes sense. I do like listening to the FAI guys. Joel Richardson has done a lot of explaining. And listen, at the end of the day, whether you are pre, mid, or post, it's not a salvation issue. It is not a salvation issue. So if you try to make it out to be because you're a pre-tribber and you're trying to say that the mid or post-tribbers are not saved, or vice versa, you're the post-tribber and you're trying to say that the pre-tribbers are not saved, then you as a believer are out of line. So, you know, we got to be able to sit down and talk about stuff, you know, just like, you know, we gotta try to sit down and do a lot of witnessing to a lot of non-believers. But the view of the Antichrist being Muslim, okay, so, and then the Mahdi or however they pronounce it, actually being the Antichrist, the Muslim savior, the Mahdi being the Antichrist, and then the Muslim version of Jesus, right? So if you haven't really heard about, because they're real slick at saying, oh yeah, we believe in Jesus and we believe in all the stuff that you believe in, but at the end of the day, they don't believe he died on the cross. They don't believe that he was the Son of God. They don't believe that he was God manifest in the flesh. So that right there is a straight up Antichrist view, right? So their version, the Islamic version, the Quran version of Jesus is Isa, right? So it is so plausible that the Mahdi is the Antichrist, and Isa, their version, not the real Jesus, is the false prophet. And then the Islamic Antichrist is the Dajjal. Like, when you get into looking at all of that, it is like a mirror image between Christian eschatology and Muslim eschatology. So Christian eschatology has the Antichrist and the false prophet, and then ultimately Jesus coming in at the end, where they have the Mahdi, Isa, and then the Dajjal coming in. And when you get into like what the Dajjal represents, he comes in saying that he is the savior of Jerusalem and the Jews. Because break it down however you want to break it down, like Muslim eschatology has Isa coming in and basically like saying that, claiming to be Jesus, saying that he was not, that he didn't die on the cross, and that he wasn't resurrected, and that he's not the Son of God, and that he's really Muslim and all of that. So think about it from the perspective of the foundation that Satan has laid down for hundreds of years. You know, to have somebody come along 500 years later and do and say everything that Muhammad did and said, you know, and then the roots of, you know, the idol that had the crescent and the star, you know, because Arabia was a polytheistic region back in those days, and that idol was just one of many that were being worshipped back then. Look into that, you know, because like it makes the most sense out of everything that's happening nowadays. You know, a lot of people are still going to look at, you know, getting chipped and all of that, and maybe how all of that's panning out, it's still tying into everything. However, you know, a Muslim Antichrist and Islam is the one world religion, and look at how all of the wokesties are just eating up the whole supporting Islam and all of that, man. I just saw somebody shared a video of a transgender chick with a freaking mustache talking about how excited he was to read the Quran. So, you know, we see everything happening, folks, you know, so do a lot of praying on everything. And if you haven't heard this view, look into this view, you know, because a lot of us within the body have that old school, you know, Left Behind series model of how it's all going to pan out. And that may not be the case whatsoever. Okay, so I love you guys, and until next time.